If I go back to grades and tell you a little more about it, about this communist selection system, and I think the grades are what was used the most to destitute, to demoralize, to agonize me. I can show you my index here while I'm talking to you. Now you can see the grades. As I mentioned, 2 is barely enough to pass. 1 is unsatisfactory, and that's exactly what the case was. I was just enough, or I should say allowed, to barely pass this grammar school due to these beatings which have taken place. The beatings which have taken place as instructed per teachers. Instructed per teachers after we have had those assemblies or meetings during which we have discussed our grades. Yes, we would have those we would have meetings, and per each individual we would discuss grades, how each and every one of us was doing, and whenever it came to whenever it was my turn, simply a teacher would address the bullies, my co-equals or classmates, how they're not doing their stuff as we have as they have agreed upon. You see, the system already have promised them jobs in what was a grammar school in return for bullying, for beatings, and kids have taken that very seriously. After all, it was really what mattered. No, that's how that communist system is designed. Those communist kids are already built since little. They are raised like that. We will give you candy if you can do that for me, since very little already. So that violence, brutality, the state violence, the state brutality starts. The selection process starts already very early. Despite these beatings, these agonies, and all that, I have managed to carry on myself throughout all these ordeals forward. I bent whenever I had to, but to make me bend, it took quite a lot, because I would simply not bend. I wasn't meant to be bent, but I was meant to stand up tall and proud. And I have given them back, really, what I don't think anybody ever did give them back. In respect to these grades, I'm going to say this. There was a student, my classmate, Kuivel, who have actually won 4th place in math competition during international math competition in China, and was definitely the best student in the school, who was actually promised to get very prominent good future from the state. Good job was awaited for him. Good future, good prosperity. He was used to incite in kids nationalism and other subjects. He would also be used like intermediate between bullies and teachers. Was relaying the messages and stuff like that. And what I have basically done was, because his grades were nothing else but 5, 5, 5, or in other words, the best, the best, the best, the best, everything the best, and everything but sports. What I have done is I have deliberately went ahead and I have taken him down physically. Not too bad, but I did slap him good several times upon what his grades actually have stagnated below mine. I have done this one time, and his grades were basically destroyed and ruined for at least 2-3 weeks. He wasn't getting any good grades at all, but his grades were mess. After his grades started to recuperate, and during what have taken place, the first thing, of course, what he have done, he ran to the teacher and he told teacher what I have done and tried to get excuse. He tried to get mercy from the teachers for what have happened. He was trying to get teachers on his side. He was trying to get understanding from the teachers. And teachers had told him how he have to improve, regardless of what have taken place, that he have to go on. After all, he will be the one to implement the matters, the issues, the state issues and stuff. Upon with all his frustrations and everything that he was trying to put himself together, I went ahead, and it's quite funny, I did one more time. Of course, no need to mention that after my doing all this stuff, the beatings were taken against me like without any proportions of normality. But you know, folks, even that I was in such a situation that I was so beaten up, destroyed, I wanted the system, I wanted the system to feel my pain and prove the system. The idea was to prove the system that system is actually criminal system and nothing else. And it was the lesson, folks, that have in the end resulted in this kid completely failing class, almost. He barely finished that class. It was the last class, you see. His 7 years were like top of the line class. The 8th year, before we left, when I have done that, he have barely passed the class. He barely have passed the class. Afterwards, I have heard the kid, I think that he failed 1 or 2 years afterwards when he went. I don't even know if he finished afterwards high school or something like that. That's how that was. You see, those grades that I was talking about are completely irrelevant, unimportant, and completely do not rely to anything what is taking place with us. But everything that is taking place with us is nothing else but violent, brutal metrics of the government. Of course, it was not my intention to hurt the kid. Of course, that was never the idea. But the idea was to prove the system is garbage, bag of lies. The kid understood, and I'm sorry about that. Also want to mention that teachers afterwards have told him that because what had more impact on him than my beatings alone against him, which have taken place, that because of what his grades, because of now it doesn't matter if 7 years he was good, just because his grades were down for that last year after what I have done, it was my fault. Just because of that, his job in the future that state had promised him was like this, cancelled, finished, voided. And that, I think, had like that major psychological impact on him. Bye-bye, like somebody said.